Welcome back, everybody. Another jam-packed episode here. 6 games to cover as 3 more groups reach their climax. Let's take a look at the fixtures for today. Senegal against Iraq. Massive game for both of those teams who are on no points after the opening 2 games. No such issues for Norway and France. They're going to be battling it out for top spot. Then we have Cape Verde against Saudi Arabia. The bookies finding that one tricky to call given how tight and well set up these 2 teams can be. Uruguay against Spain could be a fascinating watch. And then the group that I really do have my eyes on is this: Egypt against Iran and New Zealand against Belgium. A fascinating watch. Surely Belgium under serious pressure. How are they going to perform? Are they going to crumble once more at a major tournament? Doku is back after the birth of his child. So he will either be fired up and playing for his kid or just really tired. So as always, we are going to dig into the data, the permutations, and much more, and make predictions on these games. The winning prediction from the comments yesterday is here. Well done to you. You have won a month of OddAlerts Pro, and the same goes for this video. Get your predictions in on any of these games for your chance to win. And yesterday, as I record this, it's half time in the late games. BTTS and over 2.5 goals has already landed in the Turkey game. Paraguay, Australia is 0-0. So if things stay like that, we will have another nice winner there. Hopefully they do. And we also had a nice winner in that Sweden game. BTTS and Sweden to pick up the most cards at 4s. We also correctly predicted 1-1 for the score in that game. Well done if you were on any of those. Well done if you got that right as well in the comments. So Group I is where we will start the 8 PM games, and of course both of these games being played simultaneously. Now the brutal context here is that both teams, as you can see, sit on 0 points because they've both lost to France and Norway. And this is probably how many people expected the group to go. Senegal will be a little bit disappointed because against Norway, Haaland, everything he touched went in, and you cannot make mistakes at this level against France or Norway, and Senegal at the back made mistakes in both games. They have looked a little bit ropey at times. So as things stand, we can see Senegal are bottom 12 out of 12 in terms of the best third place teams. A win here can of course bump them up level with Scotland. If they win 1-0, they'd be on -2 goal difference. So Senegal here are going to want to score as many goals as possible without conceding, as they have in both games. And this is great for us. This is great for the viewer because it means there is a good chance of more goals here. The bigger they win, the bigger the goal difference, the better third place finish they will have. And Senegal being on 0 points now, I think isn't really that disappointing. If we just look at their fixtures and their results across all competitive competitions, they didn't lose for so long. They are still, I think, maybe with Morocco, the best African team in the tournament. They've scored against both France and Norway, and as I mentioned, the goals that they've given away, some of them are really poor goals. If they can stop making individual errors, they will have a good chance of progressing, and I'm sure, as the bookies are, that they will beat Iraq. 1.22, it looks like, is the best price. And for Iraq, they've conceded 7 goals in 2 games. They are still chasing a first ever World Cup win. Their last appearance in the World Cup was in 1986. Now, one stat I want to flag, we've only done 1 offside prediction in this whole competition. It was for the Portugal game, over 1.5 offsides. It did land. They had 2 offsides. And if you are looking at offsides in this game, of course, Senegal are going to have a lot of the ball. Nicholas Jackson was caught offside 3 times against Norway and 5 times already in the competition. This is our World Cup hub. You can check out all data like this from the World Cup. You can even check out the form for these players coming into the World Cup. But 5 offsides already, only bettered, I guess, by Luis Diaz. Will he get caught offside again in this game? So my prediction for this game is as follows. Senegal to have over 1.5 offsides in the game and over 1 goal for Senegal. reducing the risk a little bit there. I was looking at over 2.5 goals, but just in case they win this game 2-0, I do think they'll go for goals, but they've got to balance caution and risk, of course, because Iraq, let's not forget about them, they're chasing a first World Cup win as well. So we're going for offsides again. Let me know what you think about this one in the comments. What would you change? What would you add? Any comment automatically entered into our daily draw to win OddAlerts Pro. And with that said, my score prediction is 3-0 to Senegal. Now, the other game from the group needs no introduction. Norway against France. It is game of the day, of course. Both already qualified, 6 points each. This is a playoff to see who finishes top of the group. And it does matter because the winner of this group will play a third place team. The runner-up of this group will play the runner-up of Group E, which is the Ivory Coast. Erling Haaland has 59 goals in 52 games for Norway, including 4 in 2 at this competition. Can he score against France, who, as we'll see in a second, have been conceding plenty of goals? So looking across all competitions, they did keep a clean sheet against Iraq. The weather in the first half of that game was mental, wasn't it? But then before that, there's not many clean sheets, is there really? In the past year, they are conceding in the majority of games. 2 against Iceland in qualifying, another against Iceland, 1 against Azerbaijan, and then they played some more difficult teams in friendlies. They conceded to Brazil, Colombia, Ivory Coast, Northern Ireland, and then of course Senegal as well. And it is France that has the advantage, so a draw suits the French, although I can't really see them playing for the draw. And Norway got absolutely nothing to lose, so I think they're going to go for this. They are enjoying themselves, by the way. If you follow any of the players on social media or Norway in general on YouTube, they are having an absolute blast at this World Cup, and long may it continue. Now we're just taking a look at the football form guide, link in the description if you want to check this tool out. It is a very, very useful tool. It's going to rank Norway here for the last 10 games against all other World Cup teams, and we can see games won, 10 out of 10. That ranks them first. No other team has done that. Goal difference, 36, first. Goals scored, 44, first. Goals scored in the first half, 19, first. Goals scored in the second half, 25, first. They've scored first in 9 of their last 10 games. Teams that have had the most shots on target, 10 out of 10. They are playing very, very well at this moment in time. Goals for per game, 4.4. Incredible. They're second for that statistic. So just another look at the player data hub, link in the description, of course. We're looking at fouls committed across the World Cup for the Norway and France squads, and we can see Haaland, he has actually made 2 fouls in each of his 2 games, and I'm going to back him to commit another foul here. When you watch him, he is supercharged, like one of those Duracell bunnies, just absolutely pressing, trying to win the ball back. Same goes for Salah as well, but Haaland up against those very, very good French defenders, I think he's going to want to give them a piece of him very, very early in this game, and he won't want to give them a moment's rest. That is the way this Norway team plays, and we can see here BTTS as well. I just can't see either of these teams keeping a clean sheet with the attacking quality that is on offer here today, and it is very tough for me to call a winner. And I think if you're in that mindset, then you might as well go for the double chance for Norway, because the odds are really, really good. If you watch the previous game for Norway against Senegal, you will know that Haaland is in that kind of form where everything he touches is going in the back of the net. Norway to score in the second half. We had BTTS in the second half in the previous game as a single. That was around 3.4 and it landed. The data is there for Norway. They are a fantastic goal-scoring team, especially in the second half of games. And for Haaland to commit a foul takes this to 3.1. Let me know what you think about this in the comments. What is your score prediction for this game? I'm going to go with a 3-2 win. And honestly, I am not sure which way. So let's go Norway. 3-2 Norway. Now then, on to Group H, and this is very well poised, and we have the potential story of the World Cup. Cape Verde, 2 games played, 2 draws against Spain and Uruguay. They've set themselves up with a fantastic chance playing Saudi Arabia in the final game. But Saudi Arabia got a draw with Uruguay as well. They were beaten 4-0 by Spain. Little bit unlucky in that was the game Lamine Yamal decided to come back, or was ready to come back. Obviously, he did not feature against Cape Verde, neither did Nico Williams. If Cape Verde win, they are through. No doubt about that. If they draw, they could be through as one of the third place teams. They would have 0 goal difference, which, as we've seen with teams like Scotland, there are worse teams than Cape Verde in terms of those third placed finishes. So can they make history? Well, the bookies are not sure is the answer to that one. They are finding it very difficult to call. Our probability model as well, very, very tight, narrow favourites for Cape Verde. And the other game from this group is Uruguay against Spain, a heavyweight clash here. Will this game suit Uruguay a little bit more than the other two games? Uruguay need a result in this game. They're on 2 points, negative goal difference. It is not looking good. A defeat would leave them almost certainly eliminated. Spain were underwhelming in the first game, but you feel like they will get going in this tournament as it progresses. They haven't conceded a goal, so they can at least say that. And if we look back at Uruguay's form, they've actually won just 5 games across the last 24. That's not great. Plenty of draws in there, but they need to win this one. One metric to potentially look out for here is corners. We can see 14 against Saudi Arabia and then 11 against Cape Verde for Uruguay. And incidentally, Spain averaged 7.2 corners per game in qualifying. And for Spain, the metric that I always like to show because of how much they control games is those cards. If you're looking at cards, maybe team to get the most cards, Uruguay is where I would be at with this one, because there is much more on the line for Uruguay in this game. And just look at the number of cards that Spain do not get. They rarely get more than 1 card. So Uruguay against Spain, these are my predictions. We have Uruguay to get the most cards, Uruguay to have over 2 corners and over 1.5 goals in the game. Again, difficult to call a result in this one. I could see a draw, and given the odds of Spain, I don't think it's worth putting Spain on this. They could just look to frustrate and control and rest a little bit, conserve their energy. Uruguay, maybe the complete opposite of that. They could just go for this from the first whistle in typical Bielsa fashion. But having watched them in their previous 2 games, I'm not quite sure they deserve to go through. Let's see how they perform in this one. And my score prediction for this game is 2-1 to Spain. Let me know what you're on in the comments. I forgot to give a prediction for Cape Verde against Saudi Arabia. I'm going to go with 1-0 to Cape Verde. And from 4 AM, Group G, Egypt sitting pretty at the top with 4 points. Iran, for all their troubles, being stopped for 5 hours before their games for security checks. They have 2 points and a 0 goal difference. But they do face Egypt. The game we're going to check out first is New Zealand against Belgium. Massive game for Belgium. Will the golden generation collapse again? 2 draws as it stands. We'll just take a quick look at this game because there are some decent stats here. The possession, 70% for Belgium, as you would expect. But we're just taking a look here at the shots. 23 shots without a goal is their most in a World Cup game without scoring since 1994, when they had 28 against Saudi Arabia. And if we look at the live XG, an XG of 2 means they very, very well should have scored in this game. Lukaku out of form, and Doku missed this game. He was ill, but then has since been to be with his family for the birth of his child. Now he's back as a dad and ready to party. And for New Zealand, this is what they've done so far, a draw and a defeat. And in both of the games, I've been impressed with New Zealand. I've said that on the previous episodes whenever we've mentioned them. They really do try and play football, and they play some pretty stuff at times. A lot of triangles going about the pitch. But I feel like they tire in the game. After about 60 minutes, they just don't offer much. They give everything in that first half. And players like Chris Wood, who has had 6 months out injured this season, I think he begins to feel it, and they don't really have a replacement for him. He is their best player, no doubt about it. So New Zealand, I do think they can score in this game, but Belgium really need to get a goal and a win in this one, and I think they will. So as has been the way in the past few episodes, we are going to put together a combined selection for the final game and the final group. And to do that, we're just going to check out Egypt against Iran. You can see here, Egypt unbeaten, but they have conceded in every game. For Iran, also unbeaten, and a clean sheet against Belgium, where they did ride their luck. Now, the odds for Egypt are pretty decent, 2.6 to win. But a draw is enough, so maybe that's where that comes from. Will they play for the draw? They're certainly very well set up defensively. All of these teams, really, have been pretty good defensively. Egypt, the only team to pick up a win in the group. Iran on 2 points, so a point may be enough, but if they can get a win, they will be absolutely buzzing with that. And for Iran, they have never progressed beyond the group stages in their past 6 World Cups. So my predictions for this one are as followed. Egypt to win. I was really impressed with them in the second half against New Zealand. The manager shifted the formation, Salah playing back where he belongs really, I think, on the right side. Gets a little bit tight when him and Marmoush are both down the middle. They may well start the game that way again, but they were so much better when they stretched New Zealand and created space for Salah running inwards, which is how he got his goal. And BTTS had over evens in the New Zealand-Belgium game. I think Belgium really can be got at, but they do need to score in this game, and their XG in the previous game meant that they really should have scored. Doku is back, he is a massive plus, but they are still, I think, not the greatest team defensively, and New Zealand to continue their scoring trend at this World Cup. And my score predictions for these games, Egypt-Iran, I'm going to go 2-0 to Egypt. And for New Zealand-Belgium, I'm going to go 3-1 to Belgium. As always, let me know what you think in the comments. Let's take a look at tomorrow's fixtures. Tomorrow's fixtures look like this from England's group. Croatia against Ghana. Will Ghana set up as they did against England? They are 73rd in the world. But they did defend very, very well, of course, against England. And I think they've given everybody a template in how to approach a game against England, because it didn't look like we had the tools to unlock the low block. And Panama could set up the same way. Their games have been quite low scoring, but you would expect England to get the job done. As things stand, we would be playing Ecuador, which has got 0-0 written all over it. Then on to Congo against Uzbekistan and Colombia-Portugal. What a game that could be as Ronaldo faces up against Luis Diaz. 1.93 for Portugal to win. Can they continue to improve after that 4-0 win? Ronaldo with a couple of goals. Fair play, Cristiano. Algeria against Austria. You've probably seen about this on social media. The draw is favoured for both teams. They both, as things stand, will get a favourable knockout game if they draw. I believe a draw means they both avoid Spain. The winner can face Spain. So win this game, your reward is that you play Spain. The draw at 2.35, the odds alone will tell you that it is very, very likely that we see anti-football in this game. And then Jordan against Argentina is the final game of the group stages. We have been here every single day at 7 AM throughout the World Cup. If you appreciate the videos, please do hit like and subscribe and share them with a friend. It really does help more people see the channel. And don't forget to add your predictions in the comments. I do read every single one. And we will be back the day after next, because we are covering South Africa against Canada as well. Of course, the first knockout game. I'll see you in the next one.